are live.
I'm not alive at all. I'm just the old bump on a log. Old Garcia over here is the live one.
It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday.
Oh, that's what it means. When you and I have a broadcast, that means it's Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Wow.
So
and I just got an email. Some show or something's live on my YouTube channel. I don't know who it is.
Wonder what that is.
So, Katrina, what are you up to this week?
Still working on selling our house. Whoop,
Yeah.
whoop, whoop. Anybody want a house out there? Come and check it out. It's beautiful.
I think most of the people who listen to me on podcasts are not looking for houses in California.
Too bad. It's beautiful. Just saying.
Yeah, most of the people I know are leaving California, like you.
Yeah, well, time for a new adventure. All I'm saying.
I know.
Time for a new adventure. I've been a long time California resident since I was born, so it's time to.
It's about time you leave. So, I used to say I lived in Pennsylvania until I was 30. Well, I except for like the 3-year period I lived in New England, but most of my first 32 years I lived in Pennsylvania. And I used to always say, the greatest view of Pennsylvania is when it's in the rearview mirror. Yeah. Yeah. That was the greatest view of Pennsylvania. Was that having it in the rearview mirror?
People in Pennsylvania are probably going, really? That's not true.
I have a lot of, it's funny because I have quite an audience in Pennsylvania now, and they're all like, like, yeah, well, come back. And I'm like, I'm never
going back.
Unless my wife had a job that we had to have a house there, I'm still not going to be my permanent residence. It would be a house we had there, but like I would have a permanent residence being in Texas.
Yeah. Well,
no.
How long have you been in Texas?
For 20 years. 23 years.
20 years. Wow.
23 years.
Oh, wait. 23
years. Do you realize there's some of our listeners that were like babies when, when I first moved to Texas?
Wah, wah, wah. Speaking of listeners being babies.
We're going to talk about like generation gaps today or something.
Yeah. I thought this was really interesting because as business owners who try and hire on team members as well as corporate, this has been a really hard one for them to deal with, which is the generation gap. But I thought it was interesting because if you look at all the various generations and they're laid out and there's the maturists where they're before 1945. Mm-hmm. I don't know if a lot of them, some of them may still be around. Then, of course, the biggest one is the baby boomers. They're from 45 to 60. Then you've got Generation X, which is myself. That's from 1961 to 1980. Yep, I'm sure that's you. Gen X. Then there's Generation Y, which is my son. That's 1981 to 1995.
My kids are all in that too.
Yeah, and then you got Generation Z, which are born after 1995. But when you look at the percentage of them, I thought this was interesting because it's a graph that I found online. And the thing is when you look at these, you can see how they vary, not just in the workforce, but their aspirations, their attitude towards technology, of course, and career. But what I thought was interesting is their preference when making financial decisions. Their preference when making financial decisions across the board is face-to-face for the most part, which I thought that was interesting. That's the one thing that they all like to do is do face-to-face when it came to financial decisions. But when it came to communication and preference, it varied because the earlier generation likes the face-to-face, of course. And then the later generation, of course, likes the text messaging, emailing, or the FaceTime. So, and this can tie into even your clients and your client base and how, what generation do they fall under? Because I know that a lot of times since we've gone to this whole Zoom thing, a lot of I don't know, baby boomers and your earlier generation, they like to meet face to face, which is in some cases that's a good thing, but also when we're looking at the area we're in, especially in California, you're talking about driving 20 minutes to 30 minutes, maybe 45, sit there with them for about an hour or so, then another 45 minutes back home. You've spent 3 hours on one meeting. That is just a meeting to talk to see if they're going to be a client or if they're not. That's 3 hours.
Do you realize
So,
when I started my first multi-level marketing, network marketing business, I lived in Philadelphia, and I would drive as far as Virginia to have a meeting, as far north as Connecticut to have a meeting.
yeah.
In a night. Like I would work at, wait a minute, no. I would work an 8-hour job, then get in my car, dress up in my suit and stuff to go do this meeting and drive 3-4 hours, have the meeting, and then drive 3-4 hours back home, sometimes getting home at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, 4 in the
Exactly.
morning.
And sometimes you get something out of the meeting and sometimes you don't. So
Yep.
I think the generations and so forth, and especially since the whole, pandemic and everything, it taught us that we can still manage to talk with clients online through Zoom. And yes, I know there's some of them that are technically challenged,
Mm-hmm.
but I think really when you're looking at your time and you want to try and get in as much as possible, I think that's the best way, especially to meet with a new client and not the face to face. And I know there's some out there that are going to probably disagree with me, but I mean, I
people
know there's
disagree
a place
with you?
for face to face.
People disagree with you? No. Wait a minute. Really? They disagree? Wait, who would disagree with you?
Well, if you're networking then at face to face, then I totally get that because you're networking with a larger group. And
Mhm.
I think then you're making the best of your time with that face to face because you're networking with more people. But when you're just meeting with one person and that takes 3 to 4 hours out of your day, I think that, I mean, personally for me, I think that doesn't help bode you well when you're moving forward for other clients because you're wasting so much time
Yes,
meeting with people
but
that may turn into one and may not.
yes, but the older generations, all right, and this goes to show that it's always about relationship.
Yeah.
If I can't see
Yeah.
your eyes, I don't trust you to have a relationship with you.
I guess I
If I
could
don't-
see that.
And I mean, but no, I'm not putting it that just the way it is. All right. And back then, all right, they were willing to go have that face-to-face meeting, even if it was that length of time, because it was mannerisms. Their sales techniques could work
Body
to make
language.
the sale by reading body language and doing things.
Yep.
Whereas today's kids are learning how to, we have more, you think about it, we have more of these personality tests and ideas for you to be able to talk to someone for a matter of minutes and understand the personality they are and understand if there's a fit and all right, and be able to make the sale or make the commitment.
I agree. I agree.
They didn't, I mean, my parents didn't have half the personality stuff we have to analyze ours.
No,
So
I
they
totally
had to go, all right, and have all those meetings to figure out, do I trust this Katrina and Tim guy? Trust these guys?
Yeah.
And that is truthfully why today's generation now, all right, they're automatically plugged into an app, and they can watch 3 things that you do on Facebook and go, oh yeah, they're personality ZX-2, and this is how I talk to ZX-2s.
Yeah. But I think I mean I think it's interesting because I think that's the biggest generational gap. I think in general is that how we deal with people on a day-to-day basis, because the older generations, the maturest and the baby boomers, all like that face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
When they're dealing with anybody that's a client, personal interaction, anything, it's always face-to-face. And the Generation X and up and down, which is the Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, they're all doing it through social media. They're all doing it through Zoom. They're all doing it. And then their mindset meeting face to face is a waste of time.
And like so I actually have this gentleman who comes into our Starbucks every morning, and he has a household services business. I'm going to say what one it is, but household services, and he's always studying things like, he's like the quantum physics of how to say yes. I mean, it's weird books to see him reading, right? It's like, I'm not picking up it. It's always these weird stuff. And he always used to come over and try to pick my brain for ideas in his business. All right. He's got to be 5 to 10 years older than me based on what I can read about him. And his business is doing a home service for people at their homes. And he does not like, I come up to him one day and I was talking about, I was experimenting with that networking button thing I had to do on phone.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh no, I don't do that stuff, man. I'm all into my privacy and I don't do anything online." And I'm like, "You just told me a lot about yourself, because everything I do is online." And then I actually sit back now, as you say this here, I'm thinking about it, how many times he'll approach somebody to try to build a relationship in the actual Starbucks to try to get more business. And as the managers at Starbucks, because he did this service for Starbucks, as the managers in Starbucks got younger, he got thrown out and his service was no longer used by the Starbucks that we were at.
Yeah.
Because he is the older person. I've got to do this. Whereas the new generation's all different.
No,
he's not.
They don't want to be, they don't want to have to deal with that. And the interesting thing too, that I thought, for their aspirations going across, which is something that we all need to realize too, when we're hiring on team members that are different generational gaps, is I think we need to know what their aspirations are and their attitude towards career is, especially career. And the interesting thing is that with the baby boomers, their attitude towards technologies, they're the early adopters. And then of course you've got those after, which is the digital immigrants, the digital natives, and then they're the techies and Gen Z. But when it comes to their career, the baby boomers like the organizational careers, working for the big corporations and so on and so forth. Although a lot of them are starting to get into their own business now as entrepreneurs later on in life. And I think that's changing things. But then you've got your Generation X, where they like the early, the careers, they're loyal to their profession, but not to the employer. And then you've got the Generation Y, which they're the digital entrepreneurs, and they work with organizations, they work with organizations, not for organizations. So, and then you've got the Gen Zs, where they're a multitasker. And what I thought was interesting is that a lot of the Gen X and Gen Y and Gen Zs, not necessarily as much as the Gen X, but they're going into jobs. They're doing them for a couple of years, if that, and then they're out of there. They're like, I've learned what I needed to learn.
I'm going.
I'm heading out.
They don't take the job for the actual paycheck for life. They take the job for the experience and the steps that will get them along the way.
And the training. And that's something else that a lot of businesses are starting to look at, is that how much more training do they have to do to get these employees on board? And if they're doing that training and then their retention is only 2 to 3 years, are they really getting back what they paid into that, invested into that employee or that team member?
Well, that's it. And they don't, and many of them are not getting the fact that the newer kids are not getting the fact that many of these companies know that you're coming there, and they're very sensitive to the fact that you're coming just to learn. And get a paycheck.
So they've really cut back on the training, which I think hurts a lot of the other employees, because of these generations that decide that they're just going in to get what they can and they're out of there. They're not they're not that longevity. They're not there to, okay, we're going to be here and we're going to stick with you. And we've got that loyalty. They don't have loyalty anymore. They're loyal to themselves and what they need to get going so that they can move forward and catapult, which I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because it could be a good thing, because as we've seen our parents, and some of us have gone through, they've worked for companies for 30, 40, 50 years, and then they got shafted or they got laid off and corporate's changed a lot, and corporate doesn't really look at employees as being loyal to them. All they look at, for the most part, is that they're a number. Your number is 1823 or whatever. And so I think in some respects they do have a good mindset on that, but then on the other side, you want a team member that's going to stick around. And how do you do that when you're dealing with somebody who, I'm only going to be here 2 to 3 years and then I'm out of here?
Well, we've become a selfish world. All right.
Yeah,
And, I recall, a couple of years ago, I mean, we talk about this a lot, and some of the networking things I've been in about giving more than you get.
I
And,
agree.
when I was broke and homeless and had to go work for Starbucks, I wasn't working for Starbucks less than 60 days. And they were like, we want to promote you to shift manager. And like, I mean, they weren't even done promoting me to shift manager, and they're always talking about me. They want me to be a store manager, and I'm like, no. I'm not, number one, I'm not interested. I'm here to do this job, right? And the guy who I lived with, the guy who's I was sharing a house with, him and I were talking about it one day, and I said, man, they're just trying to force me into a management position already. And he says, I understand it, and I'm like, explain it to me. Why? I just came for a job. I needed money, right? And he says, because you're someone who's willing to give more than you get.
Yeah.
And that's what the older generation did, is they gave more. All right. So what happens, back then, you got longer contracts with your job. These kids nowadays, if some of them would give more than they got, would get ownership. Because now companies are going, okay, we're going to give you profit sharing. We're going to give you, ownership shares in the company. I did that with Starbucks, and I walked away with, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 75 or 100 shares of stock, which was part of my compensation for being with the job. And that is where these companies today are not offering that, but that could be your incentive and your training is, you're not going to get more money. You're going to get shares of the company.
I agree.
So now the company does better, you do better. Or I'm just here to take from the company what I can get. Well, great. You're going to get nothing too. You're just going to get a salary and buy. Yeah.
Well, and like we talked about a couple weeks ago, is that what were we taught the most and from our mentors? And I know from my mentor, which was my mom, taught you be, like we talked about, you need to be an asset, not a liability. And being an asset is not going in with the intent, that's not my job. This is my job. I'm in a box.
Wow.
When you offer to say, no, I'll take that on, you can add that to your resume, and that's what we talked about. But with this younger generation, it's like, no, I'm here to do a certain thing, get certain things out of this, and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It makes it difficult to trust in them that they're going to be there long enough, because as business owners, we don't want to have to constantly go in and hire somebody new when they've just started learning. And when you look at a new job or any new position, it takes at least 8 to 9 months to really start get going, getting everything in place, learning everything, getting it to where now you've got it dialed in, and that's the first year of it. And now they're only there for 2 years and then they're gone.
Yeah.
Makes it difficult.
Well, it's like, that's why, I mean, some people have to put in, contracts with their jobs, That's why we have, I don't remember having job contracts when I was younger, but now I'm seeing so many companies coming up going, well, you've got to sign this contract. You're here for 5 years.
Yeah. So they can keep them on long enough, and they'll promise them this, that they promise to stay this many years. And I mean, it's gotten to that point where they have to protect both sides. So it's that generational gap, and we all have to learn how to deal with it as entrepreneurs.
So what's our next subject?
So our next subject is one that I have to admit I'm a little guilty of, as a lot of other people, and that's getting that social envy. Even as business owners, when you're out there and you're reading social posts about your colleagues or your peers, and you're seeing that they're there or they're here or their business is doing well, and da 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 da. I mean, how many times do you sit back and you think, shit, I should be doing more of that? Oh my gosh, I should do that. Oh, wow, they're doing this and I'm not doing that. And then you start going down that rabbit hole of judging yourself and thinking you're not doing enough. You start adding more to your business list of things to do. Then you get on overwhelm and you just sit there and just stare at the screen and say, I don't even know where to begin because I have so much crap to do. I'm in stall. I have no idea what to do. And I just think a lot of us out there do this, not just in business, but personal as well.
Yeah.
We look too much into our social media and the other people out there doing things, and we get that envy, that social envy.
I don't. But then again, I learned to analyze things.
I think women are more guilty of it than men, personally.
No,
I just think
for instance, okay. So I went to a networking function yesterday morning. Great subject, because it was a great subject on, I'm just going to say it was on how to make more money with your Facebook and Google ads. Not going to give you the title they have because it would give it away, and I don't want that. I'm not here to promote them. But anyway, they came in to tell about how well they did. All right. And how they grew a company from nothing to something. That's all I'm going to say. What they failed to put in the advertising when you got there was the reason that their company went from nothing to something was because of the product and the timing. So I can analyze my friends all I want and go, you know what, man? Yeah, I sure wish I was Katrina. But you know what I look at? Number one, I didn't go through the crap that Katrina went through to get that skill.
Yep.
I didn't go through the whatever BS. All right. I didn't learn the life skill that she has that got her that great job. I wasn't in the right place at the right time with the right amount of money, the right assets to be able to buy that fancy house that she had. You know what I mean? I didn't take care of my previous cars good enough that I was going to get a trade-in value to buy the car that she bought. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that a lot of us look at it that way. And let's face it, when you're putting things on social media, not everybody's putting the bad stuff on there. I mean, they're all putting the good stuff because they want to look good. They want to look like superstars. So they're not putting the struggle that it took to get there. They're not
there's no marketing in the struggle.
2 nickels and rubbing them together and hoping they'd make a quarter. I mean, they were just
there's no marketing in the struggle. Come on. Nobody wants to market the struggle.
But that's what you should be marketing. Personally, I think that's what you should be marketing because you're being your authentic self, especially with social media. And so personally, when I first started my business, this was a hard thing for me because I just started my business and I wanted to be just like this person who's been in business for 20 years and they're flourishing and da 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 da. But like we talked about, you just mentioned, we don't know the struggles that went on behind it because they didn't share those struggles. So personally, I think as a business owners, it's up to us to not just put out there, oh, wow, look at this and look at that and look at this. Is put those struggles out there. Be real. Show people that this is hard work. Being an entrepreneur and building a business is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. And that if you're in it for the long haul, you're in a hell of a ride that I call the roller coaster of entrepreneurialism, where you're going up hills and you don't know if you're going to come down a small hill or if it's going to be a hellacious hill and corners and loops, and you have no idea until you start that ride. And I think if we share more of that, I don't think that social envy would be so envious anymore. They'd start to see the struggles and start to realize, oh, that's what I went through. Oh my God, I can totally relate to that. And I think we get more leads and we get more people coming in the door as clients because they realize you're so real because you shared A, B, C, and D as opposed to, hey, look at this, look at that. I think the more real we are on social media, the better we are. Don't you agree?
Yeah. You can really relate this topic and this, what I'm about to say, back to our previous topic. And that is, I can't remember the name of the book, but it was a book talking about failing forward. And one of the stories into it was this gentleman who made like this millions of dollar mistake for IBM or some computer company. I don't remember. And he come into the CEO's office like, I know you're going to fire me. He said, fire me? Why would I fire you at this point? All right. I just spent $1.5 million on your education. I got to keep you here to make it pay off.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we're all dealing with is we should be educating each other instead of looking at the prize and saying, look what I want, look what I want, look what I want. We should look at the journey and sharing the journey. And personally, and I'm saying that right here, personally, I'm going to start doing that myself and sharing my journey as an entrepreneur and the ups and downs I've gone through, so that, being transparent, and that's all part of it, is being out there and showing people. And I think they're gonna relate more, and they're gonna realize, you know what, that's the person I want to work with, because she understands me. She gets me.
It is, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it is a way to keep yourself healthier, is to learn to, learn to grow yourself and compete against yourself as opposed to competing against someone else.
Exactly.
The only person I can compete with is me yesterday, and I remember I think it was Matthew McConaughey made this one in a speech one time. And he says, who's your hero? He said, me in 10 years. And 10 years later, the guy runs up to him and he goes, so you're your hero? He goes, no, not even close. He says, well, who's your hero now? Me in 10 years.
Yeah.
It's because
you're constantly moving.
Yeah, because you're constantly growing and pulling forward. And I think that was Matthew McConaughey who made that speech. And I'm like, that's it. I mean, that's what we ought to be doing, as opposed to comparing to the kid we went to high school with. All right.
Yeah.
The kid I went to high school with, he looks all successful on the outside. All right. But what we don't know is that when we were in high school, he was starving and his dad was an alcoholic, drinking his grocery money every week.
Yeah.
He looked good because no one ever could tell that. But when he got out of high school, he realized, I can't rely on dad anymore. I'm going to go solve my problem. And he stood up and took a bunch of action. And he had to go through a ton of pain to get there.
Yeah.
So, but
plus we don't know the drama behind all of those accolades either. I mean, it's not all peaches and cream.
Well, the flip side is so many people I see hear the story of, Oh, I had everything. You know what I mean? I had everything. You know what I mean? So, and then you see them, they're just not quite as successful. Well, why? And sometimes, we get caught up in what others are doing instead of going, okay, what tools do I have and what do I need to grow through?
Yeah.
And how do I go fix me and make me better?
I agree. I totally agree. So
Facebook user, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook so we know who you are.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to put that out there.
Would be nice.
But hey there, Facebook user.
And hey, Terrell, it's nice for you to join us. I mean, she's been commenting along here and talking about transparency. That's what we're talking about. Exactly.
He lives not that far from you,
Really?
Terrell, I want to say he lives in where did I know Terrell? I know where you live. I've been to your town and I can't. Santa Clarita, I think. I think he's in Santa Clarita. I could be wrong.
That's a nice town.
Yeah.
It's been a building town.
Yeah.
Sherman.
Lord Eisman. All right, great thing here. Being more transparent and vulnerable to me was so foreign as an introvert boomer. But sharing my personal story and vulnerability has helped others and helped me to connect with new people.
Yeah, there you go.
I was right. Santa Clarita. See? I was
right. Hi, Santa Clarita.
See, I remember where people are from. Yeah.
Good job. Good job. So our next topic is...
We're going to move on to a new topic. Yep.
I want to go over this because...
Wait. Before we move. Before we move on to the next topic, I realize, guess what time it is?
Oh my gosh. Is it that time already?
It's that time already in our show.
That time already?
Yeah.
You want to go first?
What? We only have one this week because I didn't prepare one. I was busy doing something else. So you have yours. We have the website tip of the week with Katrina.
Yay. Okay. My tip for you guys for the week is, here's the difference. A lot of people get confused with landing pages. And they start to talk about, oh, I need to get this for my landing page, or I need to get this platform for my... Don't get confused. Don't make more of it than it needs to be. Here's the thing. There's your web page and a landing page. And essentially all a landing page is a sales page. It's essentially getting people on that page, which means you land them there. That's why they're called a landing page, to sell them into your event, your product, your service, whatever the case may be. And it can be a part of your website. You don't have to go to a different platform to build it. Granted, it's up to you and how your website is built. And if you have a webmaster that's doing it for you, have them do it for you so you don't have to worry about it. But here's the deal. You still have plugins and all kinds of things with all of those other website platforms out there that are still going to help you with SEO and keywords and that type of thing. So you don't need to sign on for another platform. The other thing I recommend too is when you've got a landing page, you've got to get it out there. So, like we talked about is with social posts, put the link on there so it links them back to that piece. Put it on your signature if you've got a special going on and letting people know about it for your email signature. If you've got a podcast, advertise it on the podcast, or if you're a guest on the podcast. And if you've got a list of people that you're sending things out to, send it out to your list. Let them know what's going on. So don't get those two confused, because essentially a landing page can be just an extra page on your website. You don't need a new platform to do it. That's my tip.
Really? So I was checking, but it's not there. I was going to say, but our announcement will be next week. Oh, hold on. Hold on, let me come back. I'll check. I was checking to see if what I had up there was up, but to make mine, but it's not there. So you'll find out next week what it is. So make sure you're tuning in live.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But like I said, don't get confused.
Don't get confused. So
don't get confused.
I love it. All right, the fact that you actually come up with a tip every week. You know what I mean? As we get guys a little bit better and growing in this, all right, all of our notes every week will be in the our show notes will be in the audio podcast show notes and stuff like that every week, as well as the tip of the week will be put out there. For the time being, ladies and gentlemen, we are working on a page, but right now we have a landing page, thebusinessgspot.com. All right, where you can actually find out a little bit more, and we will actually have that developed. Our web developer will work on that real soon.
Gee. I wonder who
that is.
We should hire somebody.
We should hire somebody to do that. So yeah, but I did my part. And I've got 4 episodes set to launch on Spotify. So hopefully by next week they'll be up on Spotify. So
yay!
I'm working on getting it.
We got a new logo. We've got all kinds of cool stuff coming up. So yay! Yeah. Very exciting.
I'm pretty sure we've got an opt-in at thebusinessgspot.com, so you can opt in and you'll get the emails about when we go live. So our live and replay broadcast every week. So
our next topic I wanted to talk about is a lot of people do travel. I mean, it used to be where you would call a travel agent long ago to do all that for you. But
when's the last time you had a travel agent before we go into this? Let's set this up properly. When's the last time you called a travel agent?
It's been a while.
I'm just curious. All right. If you're listening to the show live today, all right, put it in the comments the last time you called a travel agent.
A long time. For me, it's been, 25, maybe 26 years.
1996 for me.
Yeah.
Maybe 97, but 96 or 97 is the last time I called a travel agent.
Yeah. And if you think about it, they were the only ones that had the in to get you the best rates for the airline, and they got you the hotel, and they got you the car, and they got you everything all dialed in at a great cost because they had the connections. Well, now as we know, that whole industry has changed big time. And now they're becoming more of a travel connoisseur as opposed to getting things for you. Now they're helping you when you're going to places, the best things to see, and they've got deals or, whatever the case may be. They're totally different now than what they used to be. And now we're doing all of this investigating online for our airline, our cars, and our hotel. But what people don't know is when you're going through those search engines, and when I say search engines, I mean like Google and Chrome's Google, Mozilla Firefox, Safari, whatever you choose to go through. When you
let's face it, Google Chrome is the one you should go through. And if you're not going through Google Chrome and not doing it on your MacBook, you're give up, guys.
I'm just saying. But when you're going through those, what you don't realize is they know you're investigating all the other things that are out there, like Kayak and Travelocity and all these other ones, and they know. So if you notice, you'll see a price over here, and then all of a sudden that same one you're looking at is now higher the next time you go in, because they're tracking what you're looking at and they want you to buy now. So here's a tip. The next time you go in to start looking, go under, there's two options depending on which search engine you look at. There's private mode or incognito. And when you do this, you
Isn't that the one we search porn in? Oh, okay.
Very funny. Very funny. Yep. Yes.
You know, all the guys
time.
listening just laughed. I'm telling you right now, every guy listening laughed the moment I said that. Going, oh my God, Jim knows what I'm doing.
So here's the deal. You want to go in private mode or incognito, and a lot of times you'll find that there's three dots at the very top right that you'll find that option in. But when you do that, you also want to open it in a new window each time you're doing each time you're looking up things, because they can't see your searches.
Yeah. So
because they can't see your searches
and repeated the search, they can trace it, because now it's a traceable item. It's when you switch to a new window, it gives you a whole fresh, right? Yeah.
Yep. Especially if you're in incognito or private mode, depending on which one you use.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can see all of these going across and which pricing you want. And you're not going to get to that point. Now you're going to see them go up. It's going to stay even across the board, or you might even see the price go down. And so you want to do that so that you're looking at your pricing. But the other key too is, because hotels and because airlines and so on and so forth know you're searching, take those prices and then call them directly. So if you're, say, like you're doing Southwest Airlines, now call Southwest Airlines and find out exactly, hey, I got a quote for this over here. What can you guys give me for the same? They might give it to you a lot cheaper because you're going directly through them.
Well, I only travel Southwest Airlines. All right. It's just that's the airline I use. But like my wife and I are considering moving over to American so we can get enough points to go start flying first class places. But still, it's like Southwest. You can't go to the bargain places to get Southwest.
No, you cannot. Southwest website. You have to go directly to Southwest. But for Delta, American, Alaska, and all the other ones, you can possibly get a discount if you go directly to them instead of going to the third party, which is what you're looking up. But the other thing too, in regards to researching this, is also you can do the same thing with hotels. Hotels are realizing that they have a certain amount of rooms that they hold for these third vendors.
Yes.
And once they're sold at that rate. And then they have their rate they start to sell based on the interest and what's going on in the town and so on and so forth, or holidays, whatever the case may be. So you always want to, so when you're investigating those things, it makes it easier for you to get the best pricing. But here's another tip. The better deals are usually on Wednesday, because most people look up their travel the beginning of the week and towards the end of the week, and they know that. So that's when they have their highest prices. So when you look on Wednesday, you'll find that the prices are much lower than they were at the beginning and towards the end of the week. So that's another option you want to check into as well to get cheaper pricing. And I've noticed too that with some hotels now, if you're with a third vendor, they're charging a fee. With some of the hotels, they're starting to charge, there's like some type of a fee that they're charging because you went through a third vendor. So sometimes if you want to give them a call, find out if you can get a cheaper rate, because a lot of times you can't. And this is a great way to save on your travel.
Can I add another way to save? I make sure I cover this, but.
Yep. That's another
way. If you
way.
Notice, the two of them are two different colors, right?
Yep.
But they're both two different Southwest Airlines accounts we have.
Yeah. It just depends. And you know what? And all of the airlines have their own. Delta has
this
one.
Here is
American
mine.
Airlines.
This one here is Gwen's, right?
Yep.
All the miles on this card goes to Gwen's account. All the miles on this card go to my account.
To your account. Yep.
The next one I'm trying to get, because it is the one airline that or the one hotel I stay at most, and that is Marriott. Is I'm going to get the next one I'm getting is a Marriott credit card, and then I will book all of my Marriott stuff on the Marriott card, right? However, all right, I was at one point in time I was going to try to do one thing for everything, depending what I want the points for. I am currently gold. I'm gold, and I think I have like 5 more nights this year to stay gold for next year on Marriott. But I think I need 9 more flights on Southwest to be to get
bumped up.
to get to the next one, which is A-list preferred. All
Yeah.
right. My wife has on Southwest, she has companion status this year. She's probably not going to have it next year, but companion status this year, everywhere she goes, I can fly with her for free.
Yeah.
All right. That's another savings that most people don't look at is, in travel is sometimes, using your card deals. And
True. Very true.
right now, those 2 cards that we have, all right, that I'm still paying them down from business expenses I did, but eventually once they're paid down, Gwen will book all of her corporate on that card, and then I have her company reimbursed her,
her for that.
reimbursed her, and then she pays the card back.
Well, the
Mine
other
will all
thing
be booked
too,
on that card, and then my company will reimburse the card back.
Oh, okay. But the other thing too you want to think about too is both Marriott, I think Marriott, and there's another big one out there. There's several of the industry chains out there that if you sign up for their membership, you can get discounts there too. So
Yeah,
the
well,
more
that's
you
the
stay,
membership is what I have, and then I just
Yeah.
added the credit card. So I don't have the Marriott
Exactly.
credit card yet. That's the next one I'm going to get. I personally had up until 6 years ago, I didn't have a credit card. I didn't have any credit in my name.
yeah,
Period. All right. 6 years ago, when I got a house, all of a sudden now they're throwing credit cards at me, and I just don't take
course.
them on. But
of course. But you also have to be careful with those credit cards and not get them up too
That's-
high.
I know. Well, that's why we have I used them to that was how I got my trademark done. It was how I paid for my first event, things like that.
Yeah.
And then, rather than I'm making the payments onto it to help my credit. But in other words, I'm paying it down. And then if I need something every now and then, I charge it. Other than that, I pay it down. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do it is manage what your travel is going to be for the year and then pay it off each time. So that way you keep them down and your points keep going up and you get more benefits and you get more discounts and so
Yeah.
forth. So sometimes it's worth signing up for their membership because, and I know Marriott has one as well as one of the other ones out, the Hampton Inn, I think.
Hampton is a Hilton company, which I have a Hilton membership.
Hilton.
I just don't.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not
I have a
there.
Hilton, so I get discounts anytime when we stay at a Hilton. We get those discounts, and we'll get extra bonuses that other people sometimes won't get. So these are great ways to save money on your travel, but also to look at your travel without getting dinged because you're looking and they know that you're looking.
Yeah.
So remember, incognito or private mode when you're looking and open up a new window for each time. So that way you can see the pricing structure stays across the same.
But my question is how did you find out that the best deals were on Wednesdays? How did you find that out?
Believe it or not, a travel agent friend of mine told me about it. She said that because it's the middle of the week and most people don't book on the middle of the week and book, like I said, the beginning or towards the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to sell as many tickets during the middle of the week as possible. So they'll do discounts during the middle of the week as that they won't do at the beginning and the end. So a lot of times you can get more steeper discounts if you set up your travel or you book your travel on Wednesdays as opposed to the other dates of the week.
Okay.
So
interesting. So
yeah,
I did not know that, and it's a secret that I said that I didn't know. I was wondering how you knew it. A travel agent of all things, those old-fashioned people we used to call them.
Yeah, I know. They're still helpful. They're still
As
very
the
helpful.
conversation started there, anyway.
Yeah, they're still very helpful.
Okay, so this next one you have down here for our last topic for the day is on excuses. Is this excuses we make or excuses we make in business? What is
It's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of
Okay.
both, where you can do both personal or business. And I think as business owners, I know I'm just as guilty as the next person. We have all these lofty goals of getting this done and this done and this done, and then life happens, as they say. And then before you know it, your list is just getting longer instead of shorter. And
yeah, I have that problem lately.
yeah.
Are you going to help me solve that and not have that problem anymore? Man, I'm glad I tuned in today.
Well, and here's the thing that is the most difficult for me is you really have to stick to your schedule. Because as a business owner, I try my best to schedule out my calendar on working on projects for clients, calls, whatever the case may be. I've got it scheduled out. And if I don't follow that schedule, it can get jumbled up. And some projects the timeline has to be extended, or it might have to be extended because I haven't gotten, ABC from the client or whatever the case may be. Sometimes it's not, sometimes I don't have control over it, but a lot of times I do. And it makes it difficult when you're trying to go through your list of things and you keep making up what we call excuses, because that's what they are. I mean, essentially, that's what they are. Because it gets down to a very smart coach that I'm dealing with told me that they're either excuses or you just really don't want to get them done.
Well, yeah.
So I think it depends on how important these things are. Goals, mission, vision, whatever the case may be, how important are they to you? And the reason why I say that is because at one point in my life during corporate, I was working at Amgen, and I think back to this because I think if I could do that, I can do all the rest of the stuff. I shouldn't come up with excuses. I was the head AC for our regulatory department, so I oversaw 5 other ACs. When I say ACs, I mean administrative coordinators. I did the training for them. I was also part of ART, which was the administrative resource team, which was 450 ACs that I oversaw and did the training for them. I was also part of a group that was IAAP that I was the president of and managing those events as well as managing the meetings. Plus, I was going to night school twice a week and doing homework the rest of the week, as well as making sure my son's homework was done and taking him to school in the morning, making sure everything was done for him. And I think back to that time, I didn't have excuses. I just did it. I was on auto mode. And when you think back on that and think, if I could get that much done, why can't I get these other things done? What am I doing that's stopping me from getting these things done that I know need to be done? Excuses. It's me.
Are you saying that people actually get in their own way?
Yeah, believe it or not.
I don't think our listeners are that way. I think our
No.
listeners are responsible.
Never.
Yeah. I think they all, yeah.
Never.
Not our listeners. No.
So
Our
I have
listeners
to,
never
I
make
have to ask myself, is this really important to me? And if it is, I need to make the effort to get it done. Whether that's work in the evening, work a little bit on the weekend, just turn the phones off and work for a couple hours. And here's the thing. For the longest time, I've been telling my clients in regards to your time management, put an auto reply on your emails and tell them that you check your emails between this time and this time so that they know what to expect. They're not expecting an email from you like this. And they know that if they don't get something back after that or during that time frame, then they can bug you. And I'd never done that until now. So now I have an auto reply on my email that says I check emails between this time and this time. And that if anything happens with their website or goes down, they can call us for emergency, whatever. I think that way, and we talked about this, is to set your intentions out there as well as, and I don't want to say train your clients, but you let your clients know that
you wouldn't train your clients now, would you, Katrina?
You don't want to train your clients, but you're
as someone who's a client of hers.
It's a matter of just being real with your time. Yeah. And that, I think, is the hardest part for most of us, is we put so much on our calendar thinking we can get it all done. And then something happens and it just tweaks everything because we've got everything scheduled so closely. We're not giving ourselves any wiggle room.
Yeah.
So
I had this morning, I had this morning something come up that I thought that I was like totally done with, had no idea that I was even still part of it. And a guy goes this morning, hey, I need this page for this package we're putting together that you're into it. And I'm like, I didn't know. What do you need? And he goes, well, this is the link you gave us. And that link is set up for some gold, whatever. I mean, it was one of my clients' pages that I gave him as a sample. I didn't know he wanted me to give the same package away to his people.
Yeah.
So luckily, all right, it's just with Kartra. It's just a matter of I created another page. I duplicated the page and then created it with, his name onto it, their group onto it. And it's the same package that it was offered in the other one. That was 45 minutes out of my morning this morning that it was none of my plans to do, but they needed it today. Luckily, I have it down to where that is a system I can easily duplicate and throw in there real quick. And the truth is, if most of you are right, in my case, because of the fact that it will start bringing in income for me starting Sunday through the next 2 weeks. So I actually think I want to get that done real quick because it could trickle in, $20, $40 here and there. All right. Over the next 2 weeks. But if I don't do it, I won't have any of that money trickling in over the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to take an hour out of my time this morning and set this up real quick because it's that important to have more income and get more clients out of it.
Exactly. And that's the way I think we should look at all the things that we're doing. Are they money-making ventures that are going to make us money now? And that part of that is, working with your clients and so forth too. But I think a lot of times we put things on our calendar that don't necessarily need to be there, or that we can do at a later time, or pick a day that we're not as busy and do it then. Because I think a lot of times we fill up our day with busy work. And that kind of takes away from the chunk of things that we truly need to get done.
All right. Because really, we have to make time for this in our life every day. You ready?
Scam.
Scam likely is calling me again. Well, that should be a topic we should talk about one week is automated calls.
Oh my God. Well,
16 of them yesterday. How many did you get?
Stay tuned. I will. They've got a new law that's going to be coming out that's going to be even more stringent than the laws that they've already put out there. But whether they're going to follow those laws and whether they have anybody that's going to be able to manage it is a whole totally different story.
Yeah. Okay. Don't create more laws, all right? Just start chopping fingers off to people who violate the current laws, and we'll have no problem. We won't have to create new laws.
You would think, but it's oh my gosh, and so aggravating. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do a topic on scams and how to see what those are, and for your phone as well as your email, because they're getting smarter and smarter these days. It's making it harder and harder for people to see that it's a scam as opposed to something that's real.
Yeah.
So that'll be another topic coming up.
So no, but I wanted to do that though, as we wrap up today, is maybe we should start asking our listeners, what's the topics that's going on in your world right now?
Yep.
Do you think we should talk about? I mean, it's like we grab four things that are kind of news and things that we're dealing with. But what are you dealing with? Are these things that you're dealing with? To you and me, we're booking travel, so that's why we're talking about travel this week. But to our listeners, some of them have not gotten on a plane in 2 years.
I agree. I agree.
What is it that is, you the listeners, all right, whether you're listening live or you're listening to the replay of this, what is your concerns right now? If you were to list your top 4 concerns of what's going on in your business right now, what would they be? Just list them there. Don't give us the details. Just give us 4 general points in the comments. Tim and Katrina, I'm going through blank 1, 2, 3, 4, and just tell us, travel, travel, or I'm dealing with scammers on my phone, or I'm dealing with, email responses, or put that down, because that actually helps us get a feed for some of the stuff our listeners are going through right now. All right. And, we go through the comments, by the way. If you see this on Facebook or YouTube, we go through the comments and we listen to the comments and respond to them. So, and I know Katrina and I are both working on a way that can be our system to come in and respond to you guys, because we realize, because we start talking about something, it prompts something in your mind. And we want to actually be able to answer that question that's going on in your mind when we come up with these topics.
Absolutely. Because that's what this show is for. I mean, that's why we created it, we're talking about not only business, but life tips as well, because that we all been dealing with. And we're, like Tim said, we're starting with the things we're dealing with on a regular basis, which might be able to help you and may not be.
Yeah.
I mean, even in your world or realm at this time. So we want to help you out there as listeners. So let us know, like he said, what is
but we're not going to change the whole format for you, but we're going to listen to you.
Yes. It's still our show.
No, but truthfully is really when I see somebody put something like that up, all right, a comment to this is, I mean, yeah, you know, Katrina, you mentioned this, but this is what I'm going through right now. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the things that I want to know, because that leads us down a whole new rabbit hole to study for next week.
Exactly. And we try our best to bring topics to you that can be helpful and beneficial for both your business and personal lives.
Yeah. So speaking of personal life, all right, when is the move out date of you know, now that we're into October, when's the move out date of move out of California?
Hopefully the beginning of November at this point. We're just still trying to sell the house because, like I said, the market's kind of slowed down a little bit. So housing is starting to stay on the market a little bit longer because things are changing a bit. But the rates are going to go up in 2022. So if you're looking to buy a house, you better do it now because the rates are going up in 2022, and it's going to make a big difference to your house payment. So if you're out there looking for a house, whether it be California, Idaho, Texas, wherever that may be, you want to make that move now before those
Okay,
rates
you know,
start going up.
we're getting full in Texas. Stop coming here.
Stop coming here.
That was the thing that I read this week, that believe it or not, I live in the DFW Metroplex. That's Dallas, Fort Worth, and there's a bunch of little cities that are all connected to make the big cities of Dallas and Fort Worth connect, right? And there are more people in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex than 35 states have less people in them than our Metroplex does.
Yeah.
35 of the 50 states have less people in them than our
Well, there's a lot of businesses going to Texas. A lot of them have been getting some really great tax breaks. So there's a lot of people moving out there, and there's a lot of employment and opportunities for people out there. So I can see why they're moving there. Not me, but
wait a minute. No, that's a topic I really want to put into one of our discussions, maybe in the next couple of weeks, is for years it was, what was the best state to incorporate your business in? For years it was like Wyoming and Delaware. All right, depending on your corporate. But I'd love to do that as a discussion some week, is what is the best state to incorporate your business in?
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, that would be a good one for us to do some research on.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Because it's changed over the years, that's for sure.
It is different now. So anyway.
Yeah, a different world.
Anyway, guess what time it is.
Oh, it's that time. You know what? I personally want to thank those that were watching in live.
Yeah.
Terrell and no name.
Terrell, known Facebook user. Gord was watching over on YouTube.
Isman, I think I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. So I want to thank, because we're going to try and highlight you guys too, and let you know and let people know that. I mean, I really want to thank you guys for coming on board and listening. And like Ken said, give us more info. We want to hear it.
Terrell.
Yeah.
Terrell.
Yep.
Facebook user.
Gord Isman.
Gord Eisman. I've actually had Gord on my Gord was actually on my my Tim Gillette show a couple weeks ago.
Sorry, Gord Eisman.
Terrell. Tashi. Okay, I think I know who that is on Facebook. I'll check into it later. But Terrell, and the rest of them were Terrell. So yeah.
Yay. So thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you, guys. We will see you guys next week. Have a great week. All right. In the meantime, guys, you know what I mean? Be sure to check out Katrina at kgwebsitedesigns.com.
And Tim at timgillette.com.
We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. And we will see you next week. Have a great week, guys.
Out.
Bye.